Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the August 7th meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners. We'll jump in to the agenda right away, and we'll start with the roll call. Dan?
Alder Broderick?
Here.
Alder Boozy?
Here.
Freckman?
Here.
Disher is excused. Gladusky?
Here.
Alder Keemer?
Here.
McDonald?
Here.
O'Conick is excused. Shabilsky potentially could be late, but he's excused if he doesn't make it.
Okay.
Sorensen?
Here.
And Nguyen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Agenda item number 2 is an approval of the June 5, 2024 meeting minutes.
I move approval.
We have a motion by McDonald and a second by Gladusky to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thanks, everybody. Agenda item number 3 is a proposal to fund and install public communication boards at Iverson, Piffner, and Mead Park by Midstate Independent Living Choices. And we actually do have a representative from that organization. Eric, if you wouldn't mind taking the podium, please announce who you are and what you do, and then jump right into the presentation and then discussion about what you're hoping.
Well, thank you for taking time to hear out the project that we have put forward. My name is Eric Riskus. I'm the Independent Living Program Director at Midstate Independent Living Choices. We are a nonprofit organization serving people with disabilities with roots in advocacy in the civil rights movement. So to save time here, the project proposal that we have is using some of the funds that we have with the grant that we received from the Public Service Commission, from the Universal Services Funds. And what we would like to do is take inspiration from the communication boards that were put up by Lake Pacwa and install a few more of those around some of the more commonly used parks in Stevens Point, primarily parks that are visited by children. The locations that I identified on the map are at Cache Park, Iverson Park at 2 different locations, one at the top by the sledding hill, the other by the playground, one over at Piffner by the playground. Actually, that makes all 4. So the purpose of the communication boards is kind of exactly how it sounds, to be able to help aid communication for people who are nonverbal, to be able to enjoy the amenities of the park. The other added benefits of the communication board help to bridge language barriers as well. If we have 2 different children or 2 different individuals that are speaking different languages, the communication boards can actually be used to help out identify what activities they might want to do together, what needs they might have. So our our organization wanted to be able to bring this forward to the Parks Commission to see that if we could get permission to be able to move forward with this.
Okay, Dan, go ahead if you want to add some more to it.
Yeah, so staff has reviewed it and worked with Eric to go through this. I will tell you that what's in the packet here are approximate locations. So based on our review, for example, I would just call your attention to say at Cache Playground at Mead Park, we're unlikely to place this right in front of the main entrance. That would kind of block really what people are, as they're driving by that might not have visited or seen it, as well as where the donors are recognized. But in working with Eric, they're okay with working with staff. If the Park Commission's agreeable, we would just ask that the approval tonight would include the ability for staff to finalize locations with Eric and his organization. Similarly, if you've been to like the splash pad by Lake Pacwa, you'd actually see that one of their communication boards is along the playground once you actually get into the playground physically, and that would be something similar to what we probably do here. Same thing up in some of the other locations like at Iverson. We might look at where we put snow and things in the winter for the sledding hill up on top of the hill, just to make sure that that's not in an area that would conflict with some of the winter operations, but still serve where people can see it and actually interact with it. So in the packet, if you read the agenda notes, ultimately staff is supportive of this. We think it's a worthwhile cause, and we think that their offer to install it and kind of take care of it and really work with us on it works well for both agencies. The only conditions I had stated is that staff would recommend the approval that they would furnish the materials, install it, and then for the useful life, just if we needed something updated on it or replaced it, that they would bear that cost, that the final locations would be picked with staff, and then that we just would reserve the right, should we do a park improvement someday where we have to move the sign or do something else, that we would just understand that with their agency that we'd work with them, but we would reserve the right to relocate it or take it down if we had to. So with that, I would just tell you, based on our review, we're comfortable working with them, and we'd recommend approval.
Mike?
I'd move to approve.
We've got a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Ooh. We're going to have to carry the weight this time. It was
Okay.
close. But project, we're going to need a motion to adjourn, so keep that in mind. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Gladusky and Nguyen, are there any additional questions either for Eric or Director Kramer? We don't.
check online here quick, I'm sorry. I think we're okay.
I just,
Go ahead, Liz.
I just wanted to say thank you for this project. I think it sounds like a really good idea. It's nothing I would have ever thought of, but it looks like it should be a really nice addition to the playgrounds. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, any additional questions or comments? Anything from our alders online? Take that as a no. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the proposal as presented with the conditions outlined by Director Kramer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. All right, opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you. Motion carries. All right, thanks for this. This is going to be a nice,
Thank you.
And I'll-
We look forward to working with you.
I'll be in touch here shortly.
Okay, sounds good. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
you too.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 4, approval of lease renewal with Golden Sands Resource Conservation and Development Council for the neighborhood garden located at 300 Franklin Street. Director Kramer.
Yeah, so this is actually just like the approval that was done for the Mead Park Garden here, I think about 4 months ago. So what happened is we've had these agreements in place for many years, and they've been very successful and worked really well for both agencies. The one that we did in Mead, if you remember, they were putting a shed in, and they were doing a couple improvements, and we put the automatic renewal period in so that we could give notice if we do something different, but we don't have to redo this every 3 years. So their agency or their organization came back and said, hey, we'd love to do the same thing here. So the lease that's in the packet is the same current terms and conditions that we've always had, but instead of coming back before this body every 3 years, it'll just automatically renew unless we would want to serve notice to them or they'd want to serve notice to us, in which then the lease would end at the end of that 3-year period. So again, super great arrangement with both agencies. It's a great use of that property. We don't have to mow it and things by it being used for that. So staff does recommend approval.
All right, questions for Director Kramer? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept this lease agreement as presented.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept this lease agreement as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes. Thank you, everybody. All right, agenda item number 5, Director's Report. Dan, take it away.
Okay, so we did not meet last month, as you recall. It was the 40th anniversary of Riverfront Rendezvous, so I appreciate the board still allowing us to take that month, quote-unquote, off from the meeting, but we're certainly not off in general. I just want to mention that the crew and the team and the whole department and other city departments that help us did a great job putting that on. We did actually, even though we had rain on 2 of the days, we ended up in the black on the event again this year, and we had actually increased entertainment and things almost $20,000 to have a big splash for the 40th. So we had great attendance. We lucked out in a way because our fireworks were on the last night, the 6th of July, and we had beautiful weather versus the 4th and all the other communities had been rained. So we think we actually even had kind of a rebound effect of people coming into town that didn't get the same, dry 4th of July that they had in other communities. So next should be the 41st. We're looking at the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but I did want to mention that went really well, and we did have a really large crowd. So other things that have been happening, as you know, we're into the budget process this time of year. So essentially the mayor and the comptroller send out kind of the spreadsheets and worksheets to department heads, and we start working on capital budgets and our operational budgets. Thus far, we've been told it looks like the operational budget will be another 0% increase on our side, and they are reviewing things like cost of living adjustments and stuff for employees. So as you kind of know, that plays itself out from the departmental level into kind of the finance department or I should say the finance committee on the council. So very preliminary on that right now, but that's what our department heads are submitting, is working on a 0% increase. Certainly makes it tough when we're trying to do some different things, but I give my management team a lot of credit. We're working through a lot of different options of how we can make that work. On the capital side, if you recall, the biggest need that I'm submitting next year right now that we've already talked about is the press box, the leaking roof, and the kind of in the stadium. That's kind of the last item of putting that project, quote unquote, to bed. And additionally, we do have the remediation plan for the Piffner contaminant by the Cultural Commons. So that is really the second item I'm submitting. And there again, we really almost have to do it because we know that we have a problem down there in terms of direct soil contact around those contaminated areas. Other things that we're looking at is getting into some tuck pointing along like the Piffner building where we have some of the blot or brick on the outside of the building starting to deteriorate. We do not not have any playgrounds scheduled right now for 2025. And again, budgets are always tight on capital, so the hope is that if we can get those really two highest items done. And then the third one I submitted is we do need to decide if we're going to improve and fix the envelope, so the roof and the exterior of the Buchholz Beach House. As you all recall, we did kind of a concept plan for a long-range vision of that area, but the building is, some of the tuck pointing is starting to crack and break in areas, and we're getting some moisture in through that rubber membrane on top of the roof. So essentially, I put that in there because I'll be looking for direction from our mayor, comptroller, and the council ultimately of, are we going to fix that building and keep the envelope straight so that we can eventually remodel it for those bigger future plans? Or if we don't, at least we know that we've done our due diligence at this committee level and obviously in the department level, that we're calling attention to that does need work. You know, the building was built in the 40s, certainly had, you know, great life at one time with all the things that go on along the river, but then now for, you know, going on 6 or 7 years, there's been nothing inside of it. So that's the biggest thing. I will say once we usually get that process done and it plays out with the council and things, I'll certainly get everybody an email so you can see kind of what's in the docket. And a lot of those things are coming directly from our comprehensive outdoor rec plan, you know, and different things that we talk about throughout the year. The other exciting stuff on the department side is the park projects. If you've been past Saramer Park, you'll see that the building looks beautiful. They're actually basically done with construction. We're into the final elements where you'll see the signage go up for the donor, for kind of the Saramer family, as well as all of the donors for the project on the building, likely Friday. Then next week, you're going to see restoration of the seating and all of the black dirt work go in around the area as they get it restored. The fence will stay till the end of the month. And then we are, Alder Keemer and I are actually already talking on the Friends side to say, what date are we going to technically open the place ready to go for the community? We are working with the donor family to see if we can do a ribbon cutting, and we'd like to do that. But that's going to be contingent on their availability and schedule. And once the fence comes down, it'll be, you know, we're not going to stop anybody from using it at that point. So it's turned out great. A lot of kudos to the Friends of Emerson for all their work on that, Alder Keemer for all of her individual efforts, as well as all the different, you know, contractors and community members, our crew and stuff too, getting ready for that. Similarly, on the Groholski Park side, if you've been past that, the solar shelter has been installed, the electric service has gone in, and they will be seeding that location likely in about 10 days. And then the asphalt parking lot will be going in right behind it, and then we'll be looking at a ribbon cutting sometime out there as well here likely in September. The walking path has already been installed, so if you'd like to, if you're looking for a walk, feel free to go out and take a loop around the park. While it's a little difficult to get in there because there's no asphalt on the parking lot, you technically can actually drive up in there at this point. So that's another one that is coming together pretty quickly, and we hope to do some sort of ribbon cutting in September. And then, you know, grass establishment is going to be the biggest element on both of those projects. So I look forward to, I've certainly be inviting everybody from the Park Commission to attend those as we get them scheduled. And then, you know, two pretty large projects here will be coming to roost here in the fall. So I also wanted to mention, if you recall, in our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, there is the page in Gerke Park. We identified that the houses on the north side of Gerke Park along Price Street could be strategically acquired if they came up, and if there's opportunity for someday down the road, if the park would be expanded or different things would happen. Over the last month, and rather quickly, we learned of a house, 2517 Price Street, that was not on the market, but we were aware that they would actually sell it. And I just wanted to tell the Park Commission we do have an accepted offer written contract on that property. It is contingent on the Common Council and the Plan Commission. So Plan Commission did review on Monday, and the Common Council and Finance Committee will get it the next 2 Mondays. So Finance gets it this Monday, and then the Common Council will get it the following Monday. If they both approve, both those levels of approval happen, then that property will be acquired the 23rd of August, and we would rent it from there forward until someday, you know, as we look at master plans and things, and as the park would change and the Park Commission and Council, you know, look at future priorities. So, yeah, the first one of those properties has come, and that one, actually, I just wanted to show you the aerial in case any of you weren't sure, hadn't driven by.
Yeah,
So
how many properties are on that list?
I'd have to count them here, but I think there's about 10 or so that are the primary ones in the middle, but there's more houses than that are on this stretch. This one is right here along the field. So 2517 is located right here. You can see, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it's this one right here in the corner.
Dan, how big a lot is that?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a third of an acre, I believe.
It's good size for the city.
Yep. And 3-bedroom is what it is, and you know, we'll be looking at market rate rental once we do take ownership of it. Obviously, there will be no taxes on it at that point if that happens, so the rental goes into the property fund is how it would work. Again, contingent on council approving it. So So with that, as you can imagine, once we roll past Riverfront Rendezvous with construction projects, we're right now gearing up for our stadium items. So football and soccer, lacrosse, all the different sports are starting to come out to the stadium quite heavily. We did put an archway, if you remember, on the east side of the stadium, and they're actually pouring the stamped concrete today. They did it at 2 o'clock. I think they were just finishing up. So we're just about ready to basically open that out to the community, and all the practices and things will be starting. Next week is the first scrimmage. The week after will be the first of the game. I do want to prepare the commission when the sound system begins. We will certainly hear about it again this fall, just when you have as many games as we do in the sound system and things. So we'll continue to work on that, and we try to be cognizant of reports, but I just want you to know if you get calls, it could happen. As soon as we turn that on every fall, it's an adjustment period, especially on Friday nights as the sound and music and stuff carry. The video board also, there's a whole different game experience now. Most of the teams are playing videos and they're playing music and things versus the old system was just audio, so it wasn't the same game experience, so there's certainly more that's happening there too. So in one way, it's fantastic. It's great to see, the sports enthusiasts and the kids are getting an unbelievable experience. On the management side, it's also difficult because we are in a residential neighborhood. So I'm cognizant of it, and we try to do the best we can, but there's only so much you can do too in terms of trying to, have a sound system that size. So again, otherwise, we are currently still actively recruiting for our arborist position. So we ended up opening that position back up because on the first go around, we had the 2 finalists that were selected actually turned the position down. So at this point, we've reopened it, and we're in the recruitment process. Paul Zeman, who had been promoted to a park superintendent, has got almost 2 months on the job already, and he's doing a great job. And so we're just kind of still shuffling to get back to full staff for our full-timers. So I do not anticipate us likely having a meeting in September. Selfishly, I will tell you I'll be in Idaho on a hunting trip again this year. So if something time-sensitive comes up, Todd will be running that meeting. Otherwise, I would see October being our next meeting, and I'm hopeful if the weather's good, maybe we could do a tour of some of these different facilities that we haven't been through. Typically, we've done something end of summer or into the fall. So that's what I see on the horizon unless we have something else time-sensitive come up. So that is what I have for the director's report.
Great. Questions for Dan? All right, we are now down to agenda item number 6, and without Mr. Disher here, we need someone to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Was it over here? Project, is there a second?
I'd second.
Second by Gleneski. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.